Hello, hello, welcome on in. My name is Jake Brandis. I am a sales executive here at Handle. Today we are going to talk about RiteTrack, our case management software for treatment courts. Just kind of show you how it can help you with your case management. So first off, I'll tell you a couple things about the software. So RiteTrack is a customizable software. So this is different than some softwares in the market because you'll find a lot of them are straight out of the box. So it's almost like fitting a square peg in a round hole can be kind of tricky. So we make about 80% of the software straight out of the box and then tailor 20% specifically around what you need. So that could be things like screens, reports, documents, automatically loaded up into there. RiteTrack is a web-based platform, so similar to Google. You go and hit www. And then put the site name in, you go in, so you don't have to download anything. We do also have a mobile app, so if someone needs to do something while they're away from the desk, they pull up the mobile app, put in notes or anything that might be applicable there. One thing with RiteTrack is we have different accounts for each staff member that you have. So what that means is if you want to keep something confidential, you can keep that confidential to specific roles. Another big thing with RiteTrack is everything you input into the software, RiteTrack automatically uses to be able to give you insights. So doing stuff like reporting, finding statistics and everything like that. And then one last thing I'll talk about before we get into it is integration. So we have a two-way API for integration with other systems. This means we can see everything from charges being pushed into RiteTrack real time from police systems to RiteTrack itself pushing out data from to state reporting systems. So very, very helpful. Today, what I'm going to get into is just a little bit of what RiteTrack can track for you. So first, we can do persons, court case management, which is what I'm going to get into a lot today. I also do a lot of other things as well. And then I will put this up quickly. So here is my email and my phone number. If you'd like to write that down real quick. I will also show this at the end as well. And then if you have any questions while I go through this demo, feel free to enter them in there. We would love to answer them at the end. Let me exit out of this real fast. Okay. And this is the RiteTrack software right here. So each person has their own account. So it is user specific. And then this right here, what we are seeing is the landing screen. So this is the dashboard. This can be configured to what basically the goal is what your staff member does day to day. So this one right here is outstanding court fees and fines. We can also do something like a hearing docket, and I could even go over each one of these and I can see the present parties for this bench trial or anything else. And I can also see any active healing to wellness or drug court cases. And I will say real quick, you'll probably hear me refer to it largely as a treatment court. This is just what we use at Handle broadly to reference stuff like drug courts, DUI courts, family courts, and a bunch more. We just keep it in the treatment court for us at Handle. But so you can see right here, you can see any active cases that the staff member might be working with. So in this specific case, you can see they have 3 people that they are working with right now. And in RiteTrack, you can work from 2 different perspectives, really. You can work from a person specifically or a case specifically. Many systems are just case specific, which works very, very well, but something that people have had troubles with is when it's only a case, you have to input the person in each time. It can just cause a lot of dual entries. So working from a person and a case can be really, really helpful to speed things up a little bit. So I'll show you quickly how you would add in a new client into here. So you go up to this Actions tab right here, go down to Create. You would find a person. I click on this. And I'm not going to put all this information in right now just for time's sake. Don't want to keep you here all day. But you just put everything in here. Click this little Save button down here, and I've already created one. So let me go back over here real quick to that home screen. The way you do that is you just click this RiteTrack button right up top. So it brings me back here. I'm going to work with this Carter Sullivan character real fast. So I'll click on him. It brings me to his page. So you can see right here we have a profile picture in here of him. We can see his name, information, any demographics he may have, appearance, height, and weight. One thing on demographics is you can pull any reports. So what I was talking about with insights, you can pull any reports on gender, sexual orientation, race, or anything else you might want to keep reports on. And then to bring it over here, we can keep background information of this character. So I can see any aliases he has, education, whether it be current or past, insurance numbers I might want to track, legal numbers, licenses. And we can even keep track of stuff with that with reporting. So if you have attorneys, you can see any active attorneys you have, or you could see even any expiring licenses you have of attorneys. We also track relationships in RiteTrack, which can be very, very helpful, and tribal affiliation if you have a lot of Native American population. Down here is case activity. So this is what I'm referring to as court case activity. So we can track any arrests. This is a good time to show off a couple of the things. So this is where you would add in a new arrest right here. So I would click on it. And I'd go through and say the arresting agency, arresting officer, arrest date and time, arrest location, the decision, and then I can put any comments in just about anywhere in RiteTrack. You'll notice that's about everywhere. And one thing that's really nice about it here is if I type in something, it auto loads what I'm looking for. So just a small thing that makes it a little quicker to work through the system. I'm not going to add in another one in there right now. But then another thing I can also do here is add in notifications. So say if I'm working with this client and I want to be told if he has been arrested again, I can add a create notification, and it will tell me whenever this Carter has been arrested, and I'll get a little notification right up here. This thing will start dinging. I can also do a change notification. So this means if anything changes, say another staff member comes in here and changes something, I can get notified for that as well. So just a couple things that we can do, and we can also pull reports on arrests as well. Case files that this individual is involved in, and one thing that's helpful with what I was talking about before with the working from a person or a case specific page, with the person, he may have multiple cases. So in this page, I can see all his cases that he's currently working with. If I was in a case, I can just see one specific. I hope that doesn't confuse you too much. I'll get into that a little bit more later. Next up is case plans, and this is very helpful for two reasons. First of all, it's configurable by type of case plan. So you could do, like, for example, domestic violence. It would be like a goal to attend anger management program. And then two, the helpful thing is you can see status date goals, so you can see what's been accomplished already. So I'll show you that a little bit. And one nifty thing about RiteTrack is we have this details button. So if you click onto this, it'll bring me into a more detailed view. So I can see, first of all, just the information about this. I can see any associated cases. This is with the Healing to Wellness Court case. I can see any documents, notes, the participants in this. So you can see right here we have Casey Bader as the drug court case manager, and we have Carter Sullivan as the participants. Down here is where I can see any status. Right here we only have one. It just says it's in progress. And the biggest part with this, what I was just mentioning, is the goals. So we can keep track of, first of all, the type. This is a substance abuse treatment. The goal is to have 5 drug tests consecutive to be clean, how high priority it is, created dates, due date, and current status. And then I can even come over here and click this action item thing right here. This will just give us a detailed view of how we're going to accomplish that. And specifically, we can add participants for what they're going to do. So like I said before, Carter is the defendant, so we can do specific things for him, like remove alcohol from his house, make sure he is a participant in the program. And then for Casey Bader, who is a staff member, I can say things like help him find stable housing. So you can kind of specifically assign things to specific roles. And then you can say the current status, if it's been completed or if it is in progress. So those are case plans. I'm going to go back real quick to where we just were down here, case activity. Next up is charges. So I'll go over here and show you our edit button. This is the same as the create, just already data in here. So first I can see the offending party type. So if it's a person or organization, I can then input them. And right here, charge an offense, I can put that there. The offense dates, the counts, offense location type, where the offense is, and we can pull a report on just specifically. I'll actually show it to you right after this, but just specifically if you have stuff coming from a specific location, you can kind of see it through this report. I can see the postal code of offense, county, any comments I might have, and then this is where RiteTrack gets really helpful, is I can tie it in with other cases. So I can tie it into a case file, or I can tie it into a treatment court case file as well. And then basically if I input anything in here, they will also be put into that case file, which is very helpful. I'll show that a little bit on later as well. Let me go over here real fast. I'm going to show you how I can pull this report on charges. So I come up here to actions, go down to reports, and this is where I can create my reports. So I'll go over here to charge statistics, I will set it for a little bit of a larger date range. And keep in mind that this is just a demo site, so we don't have a full multitude of cases or anything in here. We just have it for showing off purposes. But I can see right here, first of all, just the aggregate data. So this will show me what this is pulling these reports on. And then if I scroll down a little bit, I can start getting the actual data I'm looking for. So I can get counts by race. And then I can come down here and I can even see a chart. And one thing that's really helpful with how we do reports in here is you can see this one right here. I have an unknown. So it can be really tricky to figure out what's kind of causing that unknown. So what you can do in RiteTrack is with the aggregate data, with this right here, where I can see everybody, I can come up here, I can filter down to the charge offending party's race, and I can come down to this guy, Carter Sullivan, who we were just working with. He was the one who was unknown. So I could click on him, it will bring me straight to his page, so that we were just at. I can come over here and see, oh, his demographics weren't put in, maybe just someone space put in race or something in there. I can come in here, add race, go down here to save it in there. And now if I go back to that report, go to the same parameters I had before. And also one thing I should mention real quick, you can do anything. You can basically set a time range. You can say specifically what you're looking for. This one we're looking for charge. We could set for dismissed or anything else. We can also view specific sections. So if you only want to see a couple of these things, we can do that. And we can even print off this list. So very, very helpful. Let me pull this real fast. And now you can see Carter is not unknown anymore, has a race in there. And if I go down to that report that I was showing before, now we can see that is in there. So really helpful just to be able to work with your data. A couple other things we can track in here, like I was saying before, is gender, age, offense location, postal code, offense, really anything that you would want to report on. We can kind of customize it for you and get it to what you're trying to report on. To get back to case activity, we can track conditions in here. So I can track community service. Right over here, I can see his community service right now, like how much he has to do, the waived hours, issue date when it's due by, and then the remaining hours. And something that's really cool about RiteTrack is you can specifically see where these hours come from. So if I come over here to this details button right here, click on it, I can see first of all just that same info I was seeing before, just in a bigger screen. Then I can come over here to the service completed and see the exact hours that he did it and who the staff member was that created it. So it can be really helpful if you just need to figure out where hours were done. Let me go on back real quick. Perfect. Back to case activity. You can also track fines and fees and restitution. They're pretty similar, so I'll show you these guys real quick. So very similar. I can see the amounts, the waived amounts, issued dates, when it's due by, the remaining amount. And if I click into this view details again, I can see it once again in a bigger kind of screen, and I can see specifically what payments have happened. So I can see he made a payment of $25 on the 15th. And then if I go back to here, like I was at before, sorry, jumping around a little bit, there we go. I can see that's why that $25 is out of there. And we even tie it to the cases as well. So if you need to pop up one of the cases to work with specifically, we have hyperlinks here, which you can go to. Next up is restitutions, works the exact same way. I'm not going to click the info on this one as well, but it's the same way. We can see exactly where the money is coming from. So there's a $100 payment for this one, since there was started with 500 then ended with 400. I could go in and see that $100 payment. Then I'll come up here to community service real fast. This works similarly to those as well. Oh, sorry, I just showed community service. I mean drug tests, my apologies. So this works similarly as well, but I can see first of all specific test types. So I can do an 8-panel or 10-panel. We can say the method of which he's doing it, any associated cases. And I can see like a little bit right here of what he's tested positive for, but if I want to see a complete breakdown, I can click this info once again. We have a couple extra ones just because if you want to see the associated cases with it, the documents or related case files. But the big one here is the drugs specifically. So I can come in here and see every drug that we tested for, whether it's 8 or 10, and then I can see the initial outcome. So for this one, we can see he was originally positive for methamphetamine, amphetamine, and then inconclusive for marijuana, and then they took it to a lab results, and it was positive. So a really easy way to just be able to see visually what happens there. Okay, back to case activity. I can also keep track of any hearings. that Carter may be involved in. So if I come over here, I'll show you the edit screen on this one more time. So I can see the start dates, the end dates of that hearing, hearing type, the courtroom that it's in, what the outcome was, related hearings, any comments, and I can tie it to a case file. And one thing that's really nice about this is RiteTrack automatically puts this into a person calendar. So we have a calendar of all of Carter's basically events that he has coming up. Next up, we have person cases. This is just treatment court cases that Carter is involved in. We can see any protection orders that he has. If I go into the edit, I can see, we can say if it's temporary or permanent, who it's for, who it's against, and any dates applicable to that, and even an external case number and our current, our court's case number as well. We also, I just showed you restitutions. I can also show you warrants in here, which are very similar to how that worked. We can see arrest warrants, bench warrants, who it's issued for, whether organization or person, who it is, issue dates, outcome, case number, and all that jazz. And that's all for the court case activity. I'm going to get into treatment court cases in just a sec, but real quick, I'm going to show you our contact info so we can keep contact info for this client's, any emails, phone numbers, addresses, and even for addresses, we can tie this in with USPS so you can verify that they're real or not. It's very, very helpful. We can keep track of any documents. So this could be, in this case, I believe that, yes, it is a photo. So it's just a profile picture. We can also keep any files, any videos, Word, even Word files in there, and just put it straight in there. This is really helpful just because it means for some people working with systems where they have to keep stuff in files, maybe Excel files, and then work paper. It just means we're getting everything in one place, so you're not looking around everywhere. Next up is notes. It's just any narrative that you might have about Carter. So right here, I just go in and type it in and save it in. You can even see who created it. So if you have to ask extra questions, you can track them down. You can also track other personal information, so any alerts. And one thing I'll mention real quick, if you have any of these things, like you'll probably notice these trees over here, if you need to omit any of these, we can get rid of them, or we can add anything else you might need to track. That's kind of a part of the implementation and like the customization for the software. So I'll go into this edits, so we could add in the alert type. So if anything needs to be, if you don't need to track any of these, we can get rid of it, or we can add anything else in. You can see the start and end date of that alert, and then we can see any comments. I can also do any outside appointments he has in here. So this one is a drug screening appointment, when the start and end date is, and any comments about it. And this works the same as those hearings. I'll actually show you the calendar now. All these pop up here. So this is kind of similar to the dashboard we saw at the beginning. We can go over and see what Carter might have coming up. I can also see where any locations where he is banned. So I can put in the person, the banned location, the start and end date, and then any case number applicable to that. And then I can also see consents in here. Something cool, actually, I'll show you real fast, is the way you can put them in here is just click this browse for documents, quickly search in, and then you put it in there. So it's trying to make it as fast as possible for you, really. And I'll even show you the picture that we can put in. If I come over here and go to this info, click on this, and then you can see a picture just right there in RiteTrack. Okay, sorry, file, not picture. And then finally, for this person's page, I'm going to show you the treatments. So this is the treatment court cases, where before I was showing you case activity, this was court cases. This is for treatments courts. And we do have admissions, incidents, and a couple other things that are tied to residential facility, the residential treatment facilities. I'm not going to get into those too much just for time's sake today, but just know we can put those in or omit them if you do not need that. So one thing we can track in here is assessments. So I'll come on over here to the edits. We can see who it's for, the assessment dates, type, and we can add in your types of assessments you take at your specific court. We can see the assessment score results, and if a score is applicable, you can add it in right there. The user, so the staff member who admitted it, expiration dates, hard copy on file, and then related admission, if there is one. We can also track any groups you might do in here in RiteTrack. So I'll actually show you real quick. For this group, I can go to its own specific page, and I'll show you. We can even open multiple pages at once since we're working from a browser. So I just open that in a new tab. I can come up here. Now I can work from this group and work with Carter at the same time. And so Carter's enrolled in this group. So one thing that we can do is we can do universal notes, which is just a note for the entire group. Or I can also do individual notes for Carter specifically to say maybe he showed up and he was quiet today or something like that. But for these groups, we can track any enrolled members. So you can see Carter right there was included. We can see the group sessions and say specifically what the topic is. We got some funny ones in here like bacon and breakdowns. I like tacos and temptations a lot, but just helpful to kind of keep track of when you do groups and everything like that. Let me get on back real fast. Exit out of that. Okay. Not going to get into incidents or inventory issued today, just since that's more with emissions. We can also track lab tests, which works very, very similar to drug tests I've already showed. And then we can also track progress notes. So this is where you put in those group therapy notes I was just talking about. So this is where you put the individual ones in. Come in here, put the narrative right there. Person, no title, group session it's applicable to, and when it started and when it ended. We can do individual notes and then any nursing or medical notes right here as well. I'm gonna skip over property, but it's the last part for treatment plans. This is quite similar to how we do case plans in here as well. So I can click in here on this info. Now it brings me to Carter Sullivan's case plan. So you can see the title right here, what his problem was, and I can even click on here and see a little bit more. His problem is that he's using cocaine. Maybe a goal would be to get him off of that. Second the objective might be get him to have 5 clean drug tests, and then any interventions if you might need. You can click on each of these and have more info as well, and even notes if applicable. That's all I'm going to show for the persons page, but now I'm going to show how you can work from a case file instead of just a specific client. And I'm going to come up here to this favorites tab right here. This is basically just a bookmark, and this is user specific. So each staff member can favorite what they would like to if they're working with specific people. You can see there's Carter right there, or I can work through a court case, which I will do right now. Okay, and you will notice a lot of these things are very, very similar to the persons page, but we were just looking at Carter. This is the exact same case that we were looking at, but just from his perspective. The big difference here is that we're looking at one specific case versus a couple cases at once possibly. So this is just case specific, so I can see the charges from the specific case. Same thing that we were looking at before. See the offending party type, the person that was, charge, counts, offense, location type, the location, and then right here, same screen that we're looking for at before, but it's where I can tie this into anything right there. Sweet, I will exit out of that real fast. We can track conditions like community service, and this is just for the specific one. So maybe if Carter was working with multiple cases where he had community service, you could go back to Carter's page and see all of his community service. This one is just showing me for this specific case. We also track fines and fees again, bond and bail. I didn't show you that, but that works very well, very close to restitutions. And actually, real quick, I'll show you, we have a fines and fees report, which we can take. It's just right down here, which is in that same create part where I showed before. So I can pull this up and I can see any outstanding fines and fees as a date. It's just gonna be very helpful if you got to find, like say Carter maybe comes in as it says, I want to pay all my outstanding fees today. You can just pull this report and it will pull all of his case files and what he owes. So very, very helpful. Let me go on back to what I was just at. So I'm clicking here. We can keep documents in here as well, and this is a good example of a file that we have in here, so we can even load your documents in here when they sign them and everything. Another example as well. We can keep track of drug tests here for the specific case, hearings, and we've seen the hearings as well. Involved parties is new, so this is just saying who's involved in this specific case. So I can see first is Justin Rodriguez as the judge. I can see Carter Sullivan as the defendant, and Casey Bader as the court clerk, and I can see when they start and when they end in this case. Same as in the persons page that I was showing, we have persons banned, person protection orders. One thing we have here is just a record of actions on this case. So we can say case party contact on the 2nd, motion filed on the 4th, and another case party contact on the 19th. See any services that Carter has received. So I can see the type, the date issued, date served, and related hearing or any notes that you might have in there. I can also see any status history for this, so I can see if it's filed or open, and we can see warrants like we have seen before. Okay, and then, so this is a court case that we were just looking at. I'm going to show you how we can work from a treatment court case as well. So I'll come back over here to the favorites. This is a probation case. I will click on this guy. And then this will be very similar to what we saw at the bottom of the person's page, like I showed before. Specifically for this one, it wasn't on there. We can see assignments, so who's assigned to this case. This is Casey Bader. He is the court case manager for this one. We can see any start or end dates of when he may have been working with them. You can see the case activity, which is going to be a lot of overlap. But like assessments, we can keep track for just specific for this treatment court case assessments. You can see the case plan, which is the exact one that we were looking at. The conditions, so community service, drug tests, fines and fees. We can also see any contacts we've made with him. So this is a new one. I'll go in here real fast, and this is so we can see the type, person that it is for, like who is the staff member putting it in, start date and end dates. And this is a good place to show our default notes. So you can say you're putting specific notes in that are kind of frequent, and then you just have to make a couple changes to them. You can just come in here, click this insert default text, and you can put any text you need in there just from a click of a button. Very, very helpful. Can save a lot of time for you. I'm going to skip over a couple of these because we've already seen them. Drug tests, fines, fees, hearings, incentives are a new one actually. So I'll show this one real fast. So incentives, if you give out incentives, you can see the type, whether it's a non-monetary or monetary one. So this one's just reduction of frequency in drug screens with no amount specifically that he would get from it, but you can see the date provided and the reason for it. I can track any violations that Carter might have in his case. This one says for failure to report to police contact, and then I can keep track of any sanctions for that. So this one's saying increased drug screenings for it. Down here, I can see charges just specifically for this treatment court case. I'm not going to show that again just because I've already gone in pretty depth into that one. The ever-present documents and then notes as well, just if you need to put in any info on this case, and then status history so we can see where everything goes. That's kind of all I've got for you guys today. I hope I gave a good showing of what the software can do. I know I jumped around from spot to spot, but it's just to show you where you can come in from a person's point of view, a case, or a treatment court case point of view. Let me come on over here. Just bring this guy back on over. Here's my number and email. Let me see. If we have any questions, feel free to ask those now.